Those sitting in the back, could you please come closer? Front, yes. He's just, that's what Jesus said. People who will become the first. We're just applying. We're gonna wait a few more minutes just to make sure everybody's here. Exactly. That's what we're going to talk about today. A 3-letter word. An existential question. ممكن تلف لفة كده. George, can someone, both of you guys, one outside, one the other building, one here. عشان هم رجاله. لسه ما رسمناش شماسات. مينا ونادر لو سمحتوا تتقدموا. ماشي عشان خاطرك بس.
طب هنقول لحن كده مع بعض. انتوا شمامسه بقى. يشوري انه بتي تي بارثينوس بس أروماتا ببن صوتي of FSOTM1 of Canon Novena on Evo all, and make us worthy to pray. Thank our Father out in heaven.
Okay, a pop quiz. This hymn that we just sang, who are we talking to? I'm sorry? Saint Mary. And we resemble her with what? The censer. Very good. You guys are still awake. That's good. Okay, so it's been a while since we had the meeting. Actually, exactly, I looked at my calendar. It's been 11 months since our last deacons meeting. And it was about around this time last year, which was a couple of weeks before Holy Week. And just because this year, Holy Week is a little bit earlier, it's 11 months, not a year. My point is, and I take the blame for that, is we need to have more frequent meetings. And I discussed that with Abuna, and we agreed that maybe once every 2 months will be a good frequency, a good cadence. So from now on, we're gonna follow that schedule. Every 2 months, I'm gonna ask George to cancel the servants meeting and replace it with a deacons meeting. And what exactly are we gonna discuss in the deacons meeting? The meeting will be 2 parts. One will be a spiritual word, small lesson, 10-15 minutes at the most, not even. And then will be some organizational or admin points or points that has to do with the service, organizing the service, and so on. So we're going to start with today. Obviously, today we're exactly 2 weeks before the beginning of Holy Week. So that will be the focus of the second part of the meeting, which is the organizational part. How are we going to go about the Holy Week? Who attended this meeting last year before Holy Week? Okay, so for you, it will be just a reminder of what we discussed last year. The system will be exactly the same spreadsheet, the same process that we followed last year. We're going to follow this year. Again, I'm going to be a refresher, and for those of you who were not here, I'm going to explain to you how the process works. I'm also going to tell you the new system that was announced a couple of days ago. I think we all got it, but again, I'm just going to make sure that everybody is on the same page with regard to the service, the sanctuary service for Sundays. So before we do that, let's start first with the important part of the meeting. And I was lazy, so I reused part of last year's presentation because there is an overlap between what I said last year and what I want to talk about today. So this is the question I'm asking you, and some of you, actually, I remember last time it was George who answered the question. Yes, you answered that question. I asked why, and you just jumped and you said why. Maybe you don't remember. I do. So why are we deacons? Why are we here? What are we doing? I mean, why are we taking from our time to learn hymns, to come and, stand here for 2-3 hours and to sing hymns? What is the objective? Is it just you're, getting together and kumbaya and having fun together, or there is something? I mean, there is something higher than that we put the time and the effort to achieve. Any answers? Yes. To pray to God, but you can pray to God here. Like, you don't have to be a deacon, right? You don't have to memorize hymns to pray to God. You can just follow along. What is our job as deacons? Okay, well, go ahead. To lead. Very good. Yes, to lead the congregation. So let me step back here. What is the objective of any service? Service in general, as servants. Why are we servants? To glorify God. Very good. But you can glorify God outside of the service, right? I mean, you can, as a parent, for example, you can glorify God with your family. You don't have to come and serve here at church. But it's a good point. But not just to glorify God through serving His people, His children. Like there is a congregation. You're standing here and there are people sitting here. You glorify God by sending God's message to those people, helping those people understand God's message, receiving it, understanding it, feeling it, and actually helping elevate them up to heaven to feel the service that's happening here. So in general, our objective as servants is to serve people, to help people, to glorify God by helping people reach God or feel God or understand God and build a relationship with God. And as servants, as deacons, it's the same exact thing. A servant in Sunday school would do that through the word, through teaching a lesson. A servant here, a deacon, would do the same thing by reading the scriptures, by singing hymns. And why is singing hymns important? Let me tell you why. Remember this? I don't know if you remember this from last year. I'm sorry? So these are two meals, and I can argue that these two meals would give the same exact nutritional value. But which one would you want? I mean, at this point I can eat any of them. But which one would you prefer? Number two? The one on the right looks a lot more presentable. And that is what we're trying to do as deacons and as servants. Is انت لو القداس ده ابونا واحنا just قرينا قرايه كده اهو. It's the same words, right? It's the same meaning. والخبز والخمر هيتحولوا لجسد ودم. And we're going to have communion. We're going to receive. I mean, if we don't say anything with any tune or any hymns, just read. It's going to be the same nutritional value, but it's not going to be the same feeling. We add hymns and we sing things with hymns so that this meal would become this meal and would be enjoyable by the people. People would not just, understand, would feel with their heart. And this is our job as deacons. This is our only job as deacons, nothing else. So let's go back to the why. Why are we deacons? Okay, I'm just going to jump to the answer. Just by the way, a couple of quotes here I would like to share with you. Music is food for the soul. Music speaks what cannot be expressed. Music soothes the mind and gives it rest. It heals the heart and makes it whole, flows from heaven to the soul. This is what we do as deacons. This is how we relay the Word of God so that it's not just understandable, but it's something you can feel or people can feel, okay? But we can say the music in a proper way, can say the hymns in a proper way, and we can say the hymns in a messed up way. So even when we're singing, we can end up with the meal on the left still, okay? So this is our job as deacon, is to strive to present the prayer and the hymns in the best way possible so that can touch people's heart. So that's each individual person would think of that as his objective. But what's our objective in general as deacons, as collectively as a group? That takes me to what's our priorities. There are a few other objectives as deacons. And sometimes these objectives, I don't want to say contradict, but I have to lean on one against the other. And that's why I organize them in priorities. So, number one objective is to maintain the rights, the dogma and tradition of the church. Whatever we do inside the church cannot deviate from this. Yani, if what the people will enjoy, like, let me just give you an example. A long time ago, before Amba Yusuf was a bishop, we used to sing songs, not hymns, during communion, like Taranim. Oh Lord, don't leave me alone, oh my faithful shepherd. And people love it. It's a very good, a very nice tune. But Amba Yusuf came and became a bishop, and his directions to us was, this is against the church traditions and the church organization, because this is not the sanctioned hymn to say during the service. You can say it outside the service, but not during El Oddes, not during communion. So that's number one, is whatever decision we make will have to be within the boundaries of the church tradition and organization. The second is serve God and his people, which is what we just discussed a minute ago. This is number two. Number one is we cannot deviate from the church traditions. Number two is our second objective, or most important objective, is to serve the people. Number three is to teach the next generation. And again, sometimes there is a conflict. Why? Because to teach the next generation, we have to get one of those kids to hold the microphone. They do a great job, but maybe not as a great job as someone who's been a deacon for years and years. But it's important for them to take that responsibility, even if it will be a little sacrifice in terms of performance, because if they don't do that, they're not going to be ready to take your place in another 5 or 10 years. So this is also an important objective. And then the least important objective, it's an objective, but it's the least important, is to have participation by all. And why I say this is the least important, let me step back here and tell you a little story. A few years ago, I was in charge of the choirs at church. And Mina, you might remember this. And we had a meeting with the heads of the choirs. And I told them that there are two models here in terms of how to select the people for the choir. There is the YMCA, thank you, you remember. There is the YMCA model, and there is the professional teams model, like the Dynamos, for example. So in the YMCA, if you're in the team, you are going to play, period, no matter what, because that's their objective. Their objective is not to win. Their objective is to have everybody participate, everybody play, okay? That's why when we play here on Thursday, they let me play with them, because they are very nice. I don't know how to play, but they... so that's the objective of the YMCA. Whereas on the opposite side of that, if you are playing for a professional team, like Liverpool, for example, and Mohamed Salah is one of the main players, they're not going to say, oh, Salah played the last 3-4 games, we're going to put him on the bench and we're going to have someone else عشان الكل يشارك يعني عشان يبقى فيه participant. They're not going to do that. They're going to always select the best player in the team to play, because their objective is not participation. Their objective is to win, right? So where do we stand here in the church? Like when we select our teams, our deacons, or our choir members, what do we do? Is it the YMCA or the professional team? It's the mix. Why? Okay, and this is what I told the choirs. I told them there's a very big difference between a choir for little kids, 1st and 2nd grade, and a choir for adults. The choir for the little kids, it's going to be the YMCA model. We're going to have everybody to participate. Because honestly, the difference in skills is not that much, and the only way we can find the skills is to have everybody participate. And then the number two, which is more important, is we're actually serving those kids by the choir. I mean, this choir is not for the people sitting listening to the choir, but the actual choir members. Whereas for the older adult choir, it's different. We're not serving the choir is serving the people. Okay, so same thing applies here for the deacons. It's a mix between the two. We try to have everybody participate, but as you get older and as you grow, our focus is not you. You actually is helping us serve. We're not serving you. Is this clear? Okay, so we try to have most of the little kids, elementary kids, participate as much as possible because we want to get them involved in the church and in the hymns and in the service, and we want to teach them. They are part of our objective. But as we get older, we are not the objective. We are servants. We're not being served as being deacons. Standing here, you have a responsibility to serve the people, not to serve yourself or to serve the other adult that's standing next to you. So again, just to make it clear, our objective as deacons is the congregation. And then our second objective is to teach the next generation. Our third objective is to have as much participation as possible without messing with the first two objectives. And then all these three objectives are within the church's traditions and system. Okay? Last point I'm going to talk about is ego. We're human. I cannot deny that every human being needs to have, to feel good about something you accomplish. Like when you pass a test, when you get good grades, you feel good about yourself. When you're successful at work, you feel good about yourself. Same thing as a deacon. When you memorize a hymn and you can say it with other deacons, you're going to feel good about yourself. When someone tells you, wow, you said this hymn very well, or you read the epistle, I mean, you were perfect in your reading, you're going to feel good. Feeling good is not the problem. This being your objective is the problem. Just exactly like money, like earning money and making money, there's nothing wrong with that. But money becoming your focus and the center of your life is where the problem is. If you come serve here and you feel good about your service, it's okay. I mean, it's something you need to improve on and work on, that's fine. But if you come here just for that is where the problem is. And this is something you need to ask yourself. You need to be honest, sit down and ask yourself, why am I serving? Am I serving myself or am I serving God? Am I getting a reward from God for the service, or I am squandering my reward because I'm serving myself? If you stand here and you're fidgeting and waiting for someone to tell you to read something or sing something, that's a problem. That means that you're serving yourself. If you get angry because nobody told you to read or to sing, that's a bigger problem. If you even not show up the next Sunday because the previous Sunday people didn't give you something to read or to sing, that's even a much bigger problem. So this is something I don't want you to tell me, tell yourself. If I'm serving God, then I should come here and give myself to God. God, I'm here to serve you. Do whatever you want with me. You want me to just stand here and sing with the group? Great, I will do that. You want me to read the gospel? I'll do that. You want me to read the epistle? I'll do that. Is this clear, guys? Okay. I'm sorry? If you ask, you will not be given. Thank you. So Uncle George put a nice rule, which is, that's for the kids. If you ever request to sing or to say something, that means that day you're not going to say anything. Okay? That's your... Yeah. Why? Because of that same reason that I just said. I mean, your objective is not to come and ask. I mean, you come and you leave that to the leaders and to God, or God speaking through the leaders that tells you what to say and what not to say. Okay? Just...
بالإضافة لكلام جورج يعني if you put in yourself that I'm here to serve the congregation, you lose something. We are not here to serve the congregation. We're here to serve God. Don't focus on the people and the response of the people or the praise of the people. No. just praising God and what God think about you. Don't focus about the people. Even when you are reading, yes, you have to read correct, you have to say the same correct, but this is not even hatta for the congregation. It is for the goal of perfection. We should be perfect for God because God is perfect and asked us to be perfect. But don't concentrate على congregation. سواء كنت leader, سواء كنت servant, سواء كنت صغير أو كبير, don't concentrate. Concentrate that you feel God. When you feel God, you will sing very good. All of us will have harmony and everything.
And just to clarify, what Abuna means is don't focus on what the people think of you. Don't focus on like one time you're reading, you're singing. Oh, the people are happy now because I'm singing in a nice tune and my voice is perfect. That's not your focus. Your focus is to sing right because number one, to glory of God for perfection, and also because you know that when you sing the tune right, you're gonna elevate the people to bring them up to God, not because you're gonna elevate the people to praise you. Okay? Do you see the distinction? Yes, you are serving the people indirectly, but you're not serving the people for your own glory. All right? Okay. With that said, any questions, guys? Any point? Anything we need to ask? All right. So with that said, we're just going to talk about a few organizational points very quickly. Number one, the new system for the sanctuary service. As I mentioned in the message, from now on, we put together a schedule for the elementary school servants, deacons, and the schedule is about 3 months long. So for the next 3 months, we know who will be serving in the sanctuary for every single week. We have 2 deacons for each week. And then the other 4 spots, we're going to continue the same. You know that we have 6 people always, right? I mean, this is not news. So 2 people are based on the schedule, the fixed schedule. The other 4 will be based on the registration. So on Saturday, I send the form, you fill out the form, and then there are a few factors in just also in the spirit of transparency, I'm going to tell you what happens. There is a spreadsheet and a macro that automatically takes the input from the form that you register in and runs a macro and then organizes people based on a few criteria. Number one is age group, because we don't want to end up inside with 6 adults, for example, or 6 elementary school kids. So we have to have a good mix of between the age range. Number 2 is proficiency, because we have a lead, but if the lead has 5 people who don't have much experience in serving the altar, he's going to be miserable because he's going to be doing everything by himself and just trying to help people and teach. So we have to have a good balance also between people with a long experience as deacons and people who are new, so that we can train them and get them ready. And number 3 is the last time you served. We try to keep, like if we have 2 at the same age and the same level, and one of them served just a couple of weeks ago and the other one served 2 months ago. So obviously the person who served a long time ago will have the priority to serve, okay, out of fairness. For now, for the 4 spots, the schedule takes into account service in Saturday and Sunday. So if you serve on Saturday, like yesterday, for example, it's not very likely that you're going to be picked today on Sunday because you just served yesterday. We're going to give the priority to someone who hasn't served for a few weeks. Any questions? Okay. Again, we're experimenting, so things might change in a few weeks. But for now, this is the system we are following. And as you might have noticed, for those of you who opened the schedule, and I mentioned also in the message, we left 2 empty spots for Palm Sunday and for Easter, because the whole Holy Week, all the service of the Holy Week, from Palm Sunday to Easter, that's a special special case and a separate schedule altogether that does not follow that system. So how are things going to work for the Holy Week? As I mentioned, we're going to follow the same thing we did last year. Hopefully I still have it open. Yeah, here. So this is the form that we used last year. Can you see it? Okay. So this is last year. This is 2022. When I open 2023, there will be no names. Names will be empty. So the way it works is for each service, we have Eve of Monday, which is Sunday night, and then Monday morning, Eve of Tuesday. Again, these are the names from last year. This is not this year. Okay? This year, there will be no names yet. Okay, so the way it works is first, leaders will be assigned, and those will be announced soon. Like within the next week, we will be announcing who will be leading each one of the service. Like for example here, last year, Uncle Ahmed Masoud led the Eve of Monday. Michael led Monday morning. Hani, the Eve of Tuesday, and so on. So that's the leader. Okay? Then the leader will assign the readings, these readings. And as you can see, it's a drop-down list with all the deacons. I need to update it. But these are all the deacons. So the leader will, on the spot, will decide based on whoever is in attendance, will decide who reads what or who sings what. And then, while he's doing that, he will fill the schedule. Okay? And then, at the end of the day, you're going to go to these tabs every day, and you see there's a macro also that will count and sort. So, like for example here, the gospel last year, we have Mina read 5, Tamer read 5, Peter Hanna read 4, Magid read 4. So this is the count of how many times you read a specific reading. Coptic Psalm, for example, and so on. Okay? So why is this important? Because then the leader of the next day would be able to, in a glance, see who read the most or who read the least. And based on that, he would be able to distribute the readings fairly and evenly. Okay? Keeping in mind, again, that our objective is to produce the service in the best way possible. So in other words, if someone read the Psalm 0 times and someone read the Psalm twice, but that person who read the Psalm 0 times doesn't know how to read the Psalm. Like he has not learned the tune for the Psalm in Coptic. I'm not gonna, or the leader should not pick him to read even though he read 0 times.
Sometimes we ask someone on the spot to go right now and do it, and they are not ready. They can sing it, but they cannot do it on the spot. It's another level of skill. So give them a day or something like that, or call them so that they can prepare with one of us ahead at home, and then make sure that it's good before they go. But last minute assignment to some of us is not really the best way.
So I can say that are 3 levels of proficiency. There is people who have been doing this for years and years, and you can just, drop a bomb on them right on the spot, like 5 minutes before the reading or the hymn. You can tell them you're going to sing this, and they will be okay. This is the top level. There's a bottom level people who did not even learn how to sing. Like some people did not learn Kebertu. They don't know how to sing the Psalm in Coptic. You as a leader should not assign them because number 1 is you're going to embarrass them. Number 2 is they're going to impact the quality of the service. There is a layer in between, which is someone who learned the hymn, but like George was saying, they need some prep time. So you need to be conscious of that, and that's why we pick the leaders of people we think they know the level of everybody. So the leader should have some knowledge of what to expect from the different deacons. So if that person is in this middle layer, like George said, you need to give him some heads up. Either before the day, ahead of time, if you know that this person will be coming and you think that they should read or say something, you give them a heads up a day before. Or if it's gonna be on the spot, at least you give them a few hours. Like this, we're in the first hour, for example, of the prayer. Don't tell them read the gospel of the first hour. Maybe you can read the 9th hour. That gives them a few hours to prepare in between. Okay, is this clear, guys? Okay, service of Palm Sunday, again, will be announced sometime within this week. Service for, there are a few things in Good Friday, also will be announced ahead of time, so that will give time for people to prepare. And then same thing with service for Easter. So Palm Sunday, Easter, and some of the big hymns of Good Friday will be announced ahead of time. Everything else will be on the spot by the leaders.
اللي هو Thursday وبرايس Saturday دول برضه عايزين يبقوا.
Okay, oh, Thursday, nobody, يعني very few people attend Thursday, so we have to do it on the spot. ما هي
بتشوفهم هيحضروا ولا لا؟ لا في قداس.
Yeah, we can do that. We can do like Abuna, what we were suggesting that we organized Monday, Thursday ahead of time. So I can also send a form for you guys to register if you know ahead of time that you will be attending, and we can organize it from a few days before. And for Saturday, we can do the same thing for Bright Saturday. Okay, questions? Okay, George, Abuna. أنا كده خلاص. أنا yeah. Yeah, it's a good point. And yeah, and that's a good point, guys. And again, that's the responsibility of the leader. Again, you need to balance between giving opportunity for everybody to sing, especially the younger kids, and the quality of the prayer. So if you give someone who doesn't know how to lead, I mean, leading in the hymn is a skill. Not everybody has. Yeah, like Abuna بيقول pitch. Like,
in the middle school, they are like going from the child to adults. So voices نفسها is not. I don't like childish voice to lead the whole congregation. It should be full mature voice.
That's a very good point. بعد كده the pitch is very important, guys, because احنا بنرابع. One side says one and the other side. So it could sound like ثوك تاتي قوم نمبيو ثوك تاتي قوم نمبيو. It's going to be very distracting. So the ability to maintain the same pitch on both sides is very important. So again, this is a message for the leaders. Please be cognizant of that, of kids' ability or skills and ability to lead and to maintain a good pitch and a good pace.
I want to say something else unrelated to the Holy Week, quickly, عشان I noticed it. Abuna, when he prays the liturgy, he prays talking to God. The deacon in the sanctuary talks to whom? To the people, right? All the prayers, all the responses of the deacon is talking to the people. So when we bow our head, we have two responses from the deacon. One of them is worship God in fear and trembling, and one of them is bow your head. So there are difference between all the way putting our head to the ground, which is when we are worshiping only, okay? When Abuna is saying the confession at the end, because we are worshiping Christ that he's lifting. But when you say Taskif Allah Simon, this means bow your head. Okay? When Abuna is saying the absolution, this is bow your head. مش كله it's not humbleness إنه لازم نحط our heads down or the other way around. When you are supposed to worship, you don't worship. Okay? So we have to know exactly when the response itself. Taskif Allah Simon, they bow your head, you just bow your head. or you go on a knee, but don't put your head on the ground. It's just for usually absolutions. When Abuna, when you say bow your head, Abuna is saying an absolution. So you're taking an absolution, you don't worship all the way. But when it says worship God in fear and trembling, when it's during the confession, this time you worship, just to know exactly the difference between them.
Thank you, George. One last organizational announcement is I think you guys all know who's in charge of organizing. Again, not in charge because they are higher than you or better than you. It's just they are the servants who are entrusted in managing the schedule and making the decisions in terms of the organization of the deacons. So just for you to know who's doing that or who's taking care of that, that's Abuna and Abuna, obviously, and then George and Rami and myself. So if you have any suggestions, any objections, anything you want to ask, you can ask anybody from the five of us. Any questions? Thank you so much. Abuna. Every 2 months is this meeting. Thank you guys. Thanks for coming.
Make us worthy to pray thankfully, our Father art in heaven. Hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be. Now the love of God the Father, upon the creator grace of his only begotten Son, Jesus Christ, our Lord, gift and communion of the Holy Spirit be with you. Whoever wants to go in peace, peace of the Lord be with you.